Continuing on with our working with polynomials lesson here, we're going to again use the distributive property to multiply this monomial by a trinomial this time. So that minus 2x has to multiply the three terms that are in here. So minus 2 times positive 3 would be minus 6, and then the x times the x squared would be x cubed. The minus 2 times a minus 1 would be plus 2, and then x times x would be an x squared, and minus 2 times the positive 8 would be minus 16, and it's just going to have the x to the 1. And there's no like terms to collect there, so that is finished. The next one, we have, again, a monomial times a trinomial. We're going to have a 15x cubed, a minus 10x squared with a y, because of the xy multiplying the x, and then plus 35, 5 times 7 is 35, x, and then a y squared. And looking at that, there are no like terms, so we're done. Now, part E is one that students sometimes have a little bit of a time with. We have 7, and then we're taking away the bracket of 4x minus 3. When we do that takeaway, we're really thinking this has a minus 1 or a takeaway 1. We've got to take away both of these pieces inside that bracket. So we still have our 7, and then we're going to take away 4x, and then we're taking away the minus 3, or think minus 1 times minus 3 would be plus 3. Taking away minus means you're becoming more positive, a plus. Now, often you write these in descending powers of x, so I'm going to actually write the minus 4x first, and then I'm going to combine the 7 with the plus 3. Those are like terms, and that's going to give us a plus 10. And that's the expand and simplify. All right, this last example, we've got a 2 that has to multiply. So Bedmus says we have to do our multiplying before we can do the adding and subtracting, which is our collect like terms. So I've got these pieces here that I'm going to hop through the bracket, and when they get to the end of the bracket each time, each one of those is done. So we should get a 2x squared. 2 times minus 7 is minus 14. It has an x with it. 2 times minus 2 would be minus 4. We have a minus 3x squared. Multiplying that minus 3 with the x is minus 3x squared. A minus 3 times a minus 8 would be a plus. 3 times 8 is 24 with an x. And I'm running out of room, so I'll do this all down on the next line. A minus 1 times x is minus x, and a minus 1 times minus 4 is a plus 4. Now I have some like terms I can collect. I have 2x squared minus 3x squared. That's going to be minus 1x squared, or just minus x squared. I also have a minus 14x and a plus 24x. That would go together to give me plus 10x, but then I'm taking away another x, which would be plus 9x. Well, if you need to use your calculator with these, by all means, please do. A minus 4, that's a constant term, plus a 4, that would result in 0, so I don't have a constant term with this one. All right, so that's our distributive property. So our distributive property is just a fancy way of saying multiplying polynomials together. All right, so that is all review from our previous math. This year we get to expand our expanding and simplifying a little bit further. So what I have for my first example here is a binomial multiplying a binomial, and that's a little different. Okay, so we're going to think of two teams here. I've underlined each team. The one binomial is the first team, the second binomial is the second team. So player 1 on the first team, player 1 is my x, player 1 on the first team is going to multiply everything on the second team, or in the second team. So this x from the first team has to multiply all the players of the second team, which is the 3x plus 5. If that happened to be a trinomial instead, it would multiply all the terms in the trinomial. If it was a polynomial with 7 terms, that x would have to multiply all 7 terms in that, whatever that second bracket is. The second player on the first team is the +1. That +1 has to multiply all the players on the second team. Okay, so the +1 comes from there, and the x, original x, comes from there. So those two players are multiplying both terms in the second bracket. And then it's just a matter of expanding, just like we did with the previous examples up above, and collecting like terms. So you should get a 3x squared, a plus 5x, a plus 3x, and a plus 5. So I've just multiplied the x through the first bracket, the +1 through the second bracket, and then I'm collecting like terms. There's only the 3x squared term, no other x squared terms to put with it, but the plus 5x and the plus 3x, those are like terms. They go together to be plus 8x, and then we still have our constant term of plus 5. All right, next example. Our 4x is going to multiply both terms in that second bracket. So the 4x multiplies the 2x plus 1. And then the -3, the second term in the first bracket, multiplies that second bracket as well. Now you'll get to the point perhaps where you're going to leave out that first step that I've just written. You're going to just go, okay, the 4x has to multiply 2x, and it's going to give me 8x squared. And then the 4x has to multiply. So I'm thinking this in my head. This is what I'm thinking. Now the 4x has to multiply the +1, so I'm going to get a plus 4x. And then the -3 is going to multiply the 2x is going to be -6x. And the -3 multiplies the +1, and that's going to give me -3. So you can leave out the first step that I've written in the solution, but put it in if you need it. By all means, please put it in. I'd rather you do it right than to try and simplify or shorten your steps and then make a mistake with that. All right, trying the next one, we should get, you could try these and then put the video on pause. When you get to E, it's going to be a little bit trickier because you got to remember what the exponent 2 means there. And F, I actually am going to multiply these binomials together first and then multiply the 3 through everything. So if you want to put the video on pause and try the examples and then check your work, then now would be a good time to do that. All right, 9 times 6 should give us a 54. X times x is x squared. 9 times 7 is -63, and that has an x with it. A -5 times -6 is -30 with an x. -5 times -7 is -35. So in this example, I actually left out the step of writing 9x multiplying 6x minus 7 and the -5 multiplying the 6x minus 7. Okay, so that's the step I left out, but I'm thinking it in my head. But you can put that step in by all means. I just kind of forgot because I'm so used to not doing it. Collecting like terms, collecting like terms, you should get what I'm writing down here. I'm having trouble writing and talking at the same time. There we are. All right, part D, you should get a 3x multiplying. I'll put that step in for people who need it. The 3x has to multiply the x plus 4y. The -2y is going to multiply the x plus 4y. That's going to give us 3x squared plus 12xy minus 2xy, or yx, which is the same as xy, minus 8y squared. Collecting like terms, you're going to get a 3x squared plus 10xy minus 8y squared. Now, with this question, for part E, that exponent 2 really just means that 2x minus 5 is going to multiply itself. So when you see that exponent 2, you're going to be nice and write that out twice. You're going to get the 2x multiplying the 2x minus 5, and then the -5 has to multiply the 2x minus 5. Both players from team 1 have to multiply all the players on team 2. 4x squared minus 10x minus 10x plus 25 will result in a final answer of 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. All right, for part F, I'm going to leave that 3 in the front It will eventually multiply everything, but I'm going to focus on the harder part of multiplying the binomials. The 2x has to multiply the x take away 8, and the plus 1 has to multiply the x take away 8. So the 3 is just getting copied down for the time being. We're going to end up with a 2x squared minus 16x plus x minus 8. And that's going to give you 2x squared minus 15x minus 8. I just collected those like terms, and now I'm going to multiply the 3 through that bracket as a final step. So the 3 multiplies the 2x squared, gives you 6x squared. 3 groups of 15 would be minus 45 with an x. 3 times minus 8 is minus 24. All right, so now we're into our expand and simplify here. Follow order of operations. I'm going to have to multiply these together first. I'm multiplying these together, and then I can collect my like terms. So 2x has to multiply 4 minus 3x. Again, you can leave this step out and just go ahead and do it if you can, but if you can't, that's okay. Please put the step in. That has to multiply that one, and then we're going to have minus 2 hopping through this bracket. I'm going to get a minus 6x squared minus 14x, 8x minus 6x squared, and then minus 20 plus 15x minus 6x squared minus 14x. And now I'm going to collect like terms. I'm going to put my x squared terms first because we tend to write these in descending powers of x so that we know what our degree is. It's going to be a minus 12x squared, degree of 2. I have an 8x, and then I have a 15x. Putting those together, that gives us 23x. Minus 14x. Ooh, I'm going to do that different. I'm going to do 15x minus 14x. That's going to give me 1x. 1x plus 8x would be 9x. I just have to make sure the signs go with it. And then I have my one constant term of minus 20. So that's a quadratic. It's a degree 2. All right, this is a tricky one. I have a combination of kind of E and F here. I've got the 2 from multiplying the x times the 5x plus 1, and the minus 4 has to multiply the 5x plus 1. And then I have takeaway, and then I'm going to be nice and write that out twice. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have to fit this in here. All right, 5x squared plus x. I've multiplied this through. I've got a minus 20x minus 4. And that's the end of that piece of it. I noticed I forgot my bracket there. So that 2 is only multiplying the product of the 2 binomials here. And then we're taking away, and we've got the product of x times x. I'm going to do my shortcut here. X times x is x squared, and then x times minus 2 is minus 2x. X squared minus 2x. I'm going to have now my minus 2 multiplying my x, minus 2x, and minus 2 times minus 2 is a plus 4. Ooh, squeeze that in there. All right, now that 2 is going to multiply. I'm just going to collect my like terms right here. 5x squared minus, ooh, I'm running out of time, 19x minus 4. And then we've got takeaway x squared, collecting these 2 like terms, minus 4x plus 4. I think I need to stop talking so much today. That's going to give us 10x squared minus 38x. I'm multiplying the 2 through the bracket here. And now I'm multiplying negative 1 through this bracket. So just be careful. I've got to take away everything in that bracket. So that's going to give me a minus x squared, a plus 4x, and a minus 4. Collecting like terms here, I've got 10x's take away x. That'll be 9x squared. Sorry, I said x because I'm trying to rush here. Those go together. I have minus 38x plus 4x. That's going to be minus 34x. A minus 8 and a minus 4 is a minus 12. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for you, and you'll be able to do your homework questions.